There's a bunch of crazy stories written by the Brothers Grimm. And now you're gonna learn all about them, listening to the Brothers Grimm.
Students and scholars, friends and relations, welcome to the Brothers Grimm podcast, where we discuss the ludicrous fairy tales written down by a couple of wild sister-loving Germans. Not the blunted, dumbed down and safe stories that you may know. No, it's the original, sharp and dangerous stories, the real fairy tales, the way they were meant to be told, over drinks by a drunken idiot named Phil. Speaking of, my name is Phil.
And my name is Mike.
Today, we are going to be discussing story number 24, Mother Holle. I think I'm saying that right.
I spent probably more time trying to figure out how to pronounce it than I did actually analyzing the story.
There was a Mother Hilda. There was a couple of different things.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Because she's kind of a big character in a weird way.
Yeah.
In that, and we'll get into it later, but old Mother Holle's star has faded a bit. 200 years ago, big star. Not so much anymore, maybe. But more, like I said, more on that later. Mike, how are you now?
I'm pretty all right. How about yourself?
I'm decent. As you know, I live on the border of Sleepy Hollow, New York.
That I do.
We take our Halloweens pretty seriously. And this was my kid's very first Halloween. So we went down to the parade, and he liked that because it was a warm day. And then actual Halloween was fairly irrelevant to him, as he's not yet a year old. So yeah. We stayed in, and like 9 kids actually walked up the hill. I think I said over text to you, I think might be cheaper to just give away full-size candy bars at this point.
Could be.
Than even buying an $11 bag of fun size, 50 fun size candy bars or whatever.
Yeah, but now you have 41 fun size candy bars.
No, I don't. I had 15 Snickers bars that I ate, and they were fun. And now I have so many Skittles and Starbursts. Skittles are not nearly as good as I remember from being childhood.
I gorge on Skittles once or twice a year, maybe.
Really?
I always think that I don't like them, and then I eat a couple, and I'm like, all right, there goes the whole bag.
Oh, I know. I remember why I love these. I tried. I couldn't get into it. And the Starburst, same thing. It's just I like chocolate, but
yeah, I'm more of a chocolate person myself.
All good. Mike.
Yes.
Circling back, if you would be so very gracious, would you take us through the plot of Grimm's story number 24, Mother Holle?
It would be my delight. So there's a widow with 2 daughters. One is described as pretty and industrious. The other is described as ugly and idle, which was the first laugh for me.
Yes, this sounds familiar.
This woman only loved the ugly one, though, because she was her actual daughter. Well, the other one was a stepdaughter. And we all know what happens to stepdaughters.
Yeah.
So yeah, they made the stepdaughter do all the housework and literally, quote, be Cinderella of the house, which I want to get into later.
Sure.
And so yeah, so her days, aside from housework, were sitting by a well at the side of the road, spinning until her fingers bled every day. Because if there's nothing to do, it's spinning.
You can spin flax.
Yeah.
You can always spin flax.
Right. So yeah, so she's doing this. One day she gets blood on the shuttle, which is part of the spinning apparatus. And she dips the shuttle in the well to clean it off, but accidentally drops it and it sinks to the bottom. And she's upset.
Yeah.
Cries, runs back to the stepmother. Stepmother has no pity whatsoever, sends her back and says she has to get it out again. So she goes back and she's distraught, isn't sure what to do. So in her upset state, she just jumps in the well. And then it's described as losing her senses.
Like so much baby Jessica. For anyone that's over 40, then anyway,
that was not an appropriate reaction. No, that was a good call.
It's been enough time. I apologize. She loses her senses.
She loses her senses, quote unquote, and wakes in this peaceful and beautiful meadow. She walks along for a bit and comes to a baker's oven full of bread, which they are calling for her to take them out, or else they'll burn.
The bread.
Yeah, the bread. The loaves of bread are calling for her to take them out, or else they'll burn. So she does. They're all happy. She comes across an apple tree covered with ripe apples. They all call to her, say, "Shake us down, shake us down." She gladly agrees, shakes the tree until all the apples are down, piles them up in a tidy heap, goes on her way. She comes to a little house where there's an old woman with large, scary teeth. She's about to run away, but the woman calls out to her. She introduces herself as Mother Holle and offers for her to come live with her. She can do all the housework. In exchange, she can live there. And she says, well, that's not so bad.
That's not a bad deal. She's already doing the housework.
Yeah. She wants her
up
to
above.
Right. Yeah.
In the inside the well world.
Not in the upside down.
Yeah.
So she does want her to take extra care with making her bed. She wants it to be made very well. She's very particular about that. So the girl agrees, and time passes quite pleasantly. She lives there for quite a while. She gets meat every day. No one yells at her. It's a pretty sweet deal. One day she realizes she's kind of sad, and she figures out that it's actually homesickness. Despite how crappy home was, she's kind of homesick. Shares this with Mother Holle, who happily lets her go. She says, I'm glad that you're a little homesick. I will gladly send you on your way. You've done such a great job here. For serving her so well, she has her paws in the doorway on her way out. And as she does, she is showered with a golden rain until she herself is golden. She also gets her shuttle back, which she had, ostensibly originally gone down there for.
Like 10 years ago.
Yep. And then upon the door closing, she finds herself back outside her old house. The rooster in the yard crows a little song to herald her arrival. Lo and behold, because largely she is now golden, the stepmother and stepsister are overjoyed to see her. So much so that the stepmother she's plotting, and she wants to send her own daughter out to do the same and, uncover this luck and this riches. So she sends the ugly daughter out, and the ugly daughter takes some shortcuts, goes out to the spinning wheel by the road, by the well, but is impatient. So she just pricks her finger on a thorn, smears it on the shuttle, and then just kind of throws that in the well and then just jumps in after it.
Well, to be fair, though, it works.
Yeah, that's true. She does end up in yeah. So she ends up in the same meadow, comes across the bread oven with the loaves of bread calling out, take us out. We're almost done. And she doesn't bother. She can't be bothered with that. She doesn't want to get dirty. She refuses the apple tree, saying that one of them's going to certainly fall on her head, and won't that be a mean trick? Goes straight to Mother Holle's house and asks for work. She works diligently the first day. And then that's about it. She starts to get lazy. After 3 days, she won't even get out of bed. She also did not make the bed right at all. Mother Holle kicks her out, pauses at the doorway, and instead of gold raining down on her, she actually gets a kettle of pitch dumped all over her. And Mother Holle says that is the reward for your service. She ends up going home. The rooster sings another little tune, a little more sarcastic this time. Never got the pitch off. The end.
Real quick, because there's a lot going on for a short story. It's a 2-pager. That bit towards the end, is this just a wicked racist story, or am I reading that the wrong way? Because the crow or whatever, not the crow, the rooster says, the poem says, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, your pitchy girls come back to you," and the pitch is stuck to her forever, and she couldn't get it off, so she was black. It
crossed my mind. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I go looking for racist overtones and things where it's not there, or sexist, or
I don't try and go looking for racist overtones and things, just wherever I can find anything. But like like,
what'd you call me?
Yeah. But if someone's like, well, one girl's golden and she's good, and the other one's black and she's bad, I can read into that.
Right, but that is a very old, not to say that it's not racist, but that is a very old, the good guys wear white and the bad guys wear black. I mean, that goes back forever. Not forever, but
maybe. And I guess there was tar and feathering was a pretty common torture technique back then.
Yeah, I
mean, for hundreds of years at that point, actually.
Right, it was strange because when I saw Pitch, I was like, oh, she's gonna get boiled alive, but no, it was just covered with, I guess, room temperature pitch or slightly warm pitch.
Well, tar and feathering, you won't die of being tarred and feathered. You won't die right then. Right. You probably will die. I mean, everyone will.
Well, I mean, the point of tarring and feathering was just to, it was the equivalent of a scarlet letter. It's everybody knows that you did something terrible.
That's
you can't take that off.
No, man, that's underneath the pitch when it was on you. would cause open wounds and burn, like second, third degree burns on you.
Hmm.
And then
You know what,
and you
I
couldn't
might
get
be
it off,
deriving.
so you were cutting off like your own skin as you're trying to get the pitch off. There was
I could
and
be
it was,
deriving a lot of this from cartoons.
yeah. Like it was an actual genuinely really good torture technique, and
All right, fair.
there's a good chance you were going to die at the end of it. But I digress. I mean, it's pretty easy to die from almost anything.
Yeah, I did
then.
wonder if this was some kind of racist connotation. Probably not, but it's an interesting question. I did also wonder if this was a torture or, some kind of painful. It didn't seem to be painful.
And nothing's painful to these people technically in these
That
stories.
is true.
But we just read, it was Cinderella, where like the birds peck out the stepsister's eyes at the end, and no one says boo.
Yeah,
and
they stuck around at the wedding.
They stuck around. They're just like, oh, that's weird. I can't see out of my right eye. And the other sister's like, I can't see out of my left eye. They don't even do that. They're just like, oh, I guess we should switch sides. And then the birds peck out the other eye. They're both blind at the end. They're like, well, that was weird. Anyway, yeah. I guess we're blind now. People get eaten by wolves. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, we also determined that wolves don't chew their food. If they did, many of these stories would have been different.
No one seems to feel a lot of pain.
Yeah,
exactly. In these worlds, but that's fine.
So another similar question I had. So being coated in gold, is that a reward?
You have to pay extra for that.
But yeah, as the being coated in gold thing was
for a
interesting.
golden shower.
Yeah, I didn't know if I should bring up golden showers, but yes, it was definitely a golden shower.
I mean, I don't know. The covered in gold thing, we've seen that a bunch, I guess, to an extent in a lot of these stories. People can spit gold or gold falls out of their mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can spend that.
The covered in gold just might be gold vestments, gold clothing. I don't know. But if, by the way, any of our listeners have found parts of this story to be familiar, ATU type 480, which we've seen before, it's called The Kind and Unkind Girls. And the last time we saw it was Three Little Men in the Woods, which had a very similar vibe to this story, which is there's a good girl that goes out. Speaking of spitting gold, that was from that story.
Right. You're right.
One girl, the kind girl goes out, finds the three men in the woods. They reward her with she can spit gold. And then the lazy one goes out and is
looking for the same reward.
Looking for the same reward, but by not being industrious, toads leap from her mouth instead of gold or what have you. But,
moral of the story.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, and similar to what we were talking about the last time, the moral of the story then is she's pretty because she's industrious, I guess. You will get rewarded for good behavior and punished for impish, lazy behavior.
It is interesting that it defines them as, or it describes them as pretty and as ugly, but they don't necessarily have anything to do with their characteristics or fate.
We were talking a couple weeks ago about Cinderella, and that was it seemed to be a rare one where the unkind sisters were super hot.
Yeah, I remember bringing that up.
And you brought up that the Disney kind of film changed their appearance to be ugly and brutish or whatever. It's much more delineated, I guess.
Speaking of Cinderella, that very meta part in the beginning when it's describing this home setup, it literally describes her as the Cinderella of the house, which is a reference to one of their own written tales about 6 previous.
One of their own tales, but a tale that everyone knew. Clear. I mean, Cinderella. We had talked about that. Cinderella has been going around the world for 2,000 years.
That's what I was assuming, is that it was already a turn of phrase. Speaking
of famous characters, Mother Holle, Hulda, Holle, Holly, Holle. We'll say Holle. So this woman, this goddess, in Northern Europe, was the supreme goddess, predating Odin and Thor.
Yeah, she goes way back.
Top of the pantheon over there. And I have never heard of her.
Yeah, same. I was very surprised to find that she was, sort of representative of this very revered godlike figure. In what I was reading, she has comparisons drawn to all different later gods. Diana,
Yeah.
She was symbolic of a lot of different sort of aspects, specifically sort of maternal ones.
I don't know if it's just because you and I are in North America, and maybe it's way more known if you go to Berlin. But I had never heard of this person, and there was just so much to talk about. So
Right.
many people that absolutely knew who she was and knew this story. Like this specific goddess, Holle, lives at the bottom of the well. You go through the well to get up to heaven, or whatever their version of heaven, not Valhalla exactly, but like their version of it. And then she is the one that taught Germans how to make linen from flax, which flax is wildly important in all these
the
stories.
Grandmother of spinning.
Yeah. Exactly. And it was the goddess who children went to if they died as infants.
Yeah.
And also the person that made it snow.
Yeah, so that was another reference with the what she was particular about with making the bed is that she wanted to be made, very, very fit and very neat, but also like shake it out vigorously until the feathers fly. And at one point she specifically says, "For then it will snow upon the earth."
That was where I saw someone compared her to Thor, which is not snow, but like the rains, the weather.
Yeah.
A weather goddess like also did some other shit. It was just such an offhand comment about she's the one that makes it snow.
And that's where snow comes from.
Yeah, that's where snow comes from. Is if you're an industrious girl and very pretty and you fall down a well and clearly die. Like she lost her senses and fell down a well and no one went looking for her. And then she woke up and spent a decade in a beautiful pastoral area with the goddess that dead children go to.
Right.
There's a lot more levels that Grimm's original readers of this would have like, oh yeah, Jesus, like why are you even writing this down? Everyone knows this is the kind of low-hanging fruit, Jacob.
Someday two dumbasses in America. So that was the thing is
have a timely podcast about 200-year-old stories. I'm glad that I didn't know really any of the history of Mother Holle until after the first couple times I'd read this. Mm-hmm. Because I read it and I had all these notes like, did she just die in the well? Like, did she just drown and this is heaven? Yeah.
And like I had all these questions like is this like a metaphor for purgatory or heaven or some kind of afterlife? What's with the feathers flying? Why is she saying it'll make it snow on Earth? Like she keeps referencing on Earth or up above on Earth. And I was like, is this another world, another realm?
I immediately thought of Our Mother's Child.
Yes, exactly. Which was our same question was, did Mary just murder this girl and take her to heaven? And she's in heaven now. So yeah, so then reading afterwards and seeing all these connections about how, like she makes it snow. She lives at the bottom of a well, which is heaven. And I was like, oh, all right, I think she did drown.
Yeah.
which makes it even funnier that she comes back covered in gold. And the stepmother's like, go get some of that. Go kill yourself in the well.
Yeah, you know what? Ugly stepsister.
Get on it.
She came back to life. What are you doing with your life? You're sitting around here covered in grit.
Yeah, and I mean, there's direct connotations to sort of a lot of the origins of sort of the myth and legend around witchcraft.
Yeah, the church based a lot of their witchcraft shit apparently on worshiping this woman and the ideas behind it, especially the woman female empowerment ideas, which is just unsurprising. Maybe
that's why spinning has such a bad name.
Yeah. She's also the goddess of the wild hunt, which apparently is a really big northern thing. I don't know if you know anything about the wild hunt.
I don't, and I didn't come across this specifically.
The wild hunt is a kind of a folklore motif occurring across a bunch of northern cultures. They involve a chase led by a mythological figure. In this case, a lot of times it's Mother Holle, and escorted by a big army of ghosts and ghouls and things like that, and they're all hunting an unidentified lost soul or spirit, and it's usually the souls of the dead or ghostly dogs, fairies, valkyries, and elves and things like that. And if you saw the wild hunt, so it would be off in the sky and stuff. If you happen to be wandering through the woods and you saw the wild hunt, then it was a a much more ominous version of a black cat.
I was gonna say, is that a good omen or a bad omen?
It's a very bad omen. But
sounds very All Hallows Eve-ish.
you didn't want to see these people. You didn't want to see them on the hunt. That meant something shit was about to go down. Do you have any more notes?
The only one I had was when she comes across the bread oven in the middle of the meadow, which she also doesn't question at all.
No.
She goes to take the bread out and she uses the bread shovel. And I don't know why I thought that was funny. I just thought bread shovel was hilarious.
Solid. It's a solid tool. Yeah, I don't know why the bread talks. I mean, we're in the middle of it. We're in heaven. We're in heaven. Yeah, that's true. And we've seen a bunch of other fucking things talk and chit chat, but
yeah,
I don't have any more notes. I do have not exactly a Hollywood pitch, but I can go through that if you are without further thoughts.
Lay it on me.
Okay, not a film. This pitch is going to be made to the good people at the Capitol Records building.
Ooh.
I would love to make a concept record out of this. And kind of set up the way I think I could do it the way the soundtrack for the Labyrinth movie was. I don't know if you remember that.
I do. We watched it pretty recently.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I'm so excited for when the kid is old enough to watch that. I guess
what's funny is we just started season 4 of Stranger Things, and we were in the first episode. The episode where Eddie's running the end of his campaign, the D&D campaign. Oh, you haven't watched it? All right.
No, but by all means.
Anyway, so it's a long-haired kind of burnout high school kid, likable character, but very very goofy. And he's the local high school dungeon master for their D&D group. And this is 1989, 87, sure. 86. Mass hysteria around D&D. And my oldest pauses it and goes, "Why is he giving me vibes of what's his name? The Goblin King in Labyrinth?" And I was like, that's an interesting comparison. So yeah, they actually requested every once in a while. It's a good time.
It's a fantastic soundtrack.
It is.
So 6 kind of rock pop tunes intermixed with instrumental and orchestral songs. If I'm not writing it, I would just give it to Danny Elfman. Bowie's dead, unfortunately, but
he is.
And then yeah. Wait, what?
Danny Elfman's dead?
No, Bowie's dead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Danny Elfman's not dead. Danny Elfman's doing just fine, but I would give it to Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
And then he and Ian Burton could make a movie out of it somehow. I think you could do two sides of the album for each, the kind and the unkind girl. One more bright and positive, and the other with some of the same beats but darker. So a little melancholy and the infinite sadness vibe as well. But
like some reprises.
Little reprises. We start the record with The Wild Hunt as a bit of an overture. Go to a song called The Dying Child, Bloody Fingers, Down the Well, The Golden Apple, or something with apples and bread. And then a song about Mother Holle called The Dark Grandmother, and finally The Golden Child. So that's 7 songs. Then the dark side starts with The Jealous Girl, False Sacrifice, Up the Well and Through the Sky, The Poison Apple, To Annoy a Goddess, and finally The Girl in Black. It's 13 songs I think might make for a neat record.
I think those are great titles.
I like that. Yeah, I'm good at writing song titles, and I build all my songs around after if I think of a good title. I don't know if that's the way most people do it, but
probably
that's not. That's the way Baby Midnight does it, baby.
Nice.
If I got one song out of that, I'd be really happy.
Yeah.
But, I think I'd have fun.
Sweet.
That is all I have, though.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, well then let's call this the end of story number 24, Mother Holle. Sleep tight, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.